If Portugal don't win the World Cup with this generation, will they ever win it again? Let me see your real opinion in the comments. What if I told you Portugal's biggest problem has nothing to do with football tactics? Not defense, not midfield, not coaching. It is something invisible, something you cannot see on a tactical board, but you can feel it in every match they play. A kind of silent pressure that changes how they think, how they pass, and even how they finish chances. And this all connects to one thing: a transition Portugal still has not survived. Because on paper, this team makes no sense. Portugal should not be good. They should be dominating world football, not competing, dominating, because the talent is everywhere. Bruno Fernandes, controlling games. Bernardo Silva, solving impossible spaces. Rafael Leão, destroying defenders in seconds. Vitinha, dictating tempo like a world-class conductor. Every position has quality. Every role has depth. And yet, when the match starts, something feels off. Not obvious, not dramatic. Just small, invisible moments where Portugal does not take control fast enough. A pass delayed, a shot not taken, a decision made 1 second too late. And in elite football, 1 second is everything. Because matches at the highest level are not decided by big mistakes. They are decided by small hesitations. And that is where Portugal struggles. Not in ability, but in instinct. Something deeper is happening inside this team, and it starts long before the whistle even blows. The invisible pressure plus Ronaldo era. Every Portuguese player enters big matches with a question they do not say out loud. Not in words, but in instinct. Who takes responsibility now? Because for years, that answer was already written. Cristiano Ronaldo. Everything went through him. Every attack, every pressure moment, every final chance, every decisive goal. He was not just a player, he was a system. And when a team builds around one figure for so long, something interesting happens. Even when that figure changes role, the mind of the team does not change immediately. The instinct stays, the hesitation stays. And so now, Portugal is in a strange position. Ronaldo is still there, but not always the center of everything anymore. Yet his presence still shapes decisions. Not physically, but mentally. Because when you grow up playing football with one clear answer, you don't suddenly forget it. So what happens on the pitch? Players hesitate. Not because they are not brave, not because they lack quality, but because deep inside there is still an old instruction. Maybe wait, maybe someone else decides. And in football, waiting is the same as losing. At the highest level, you cannot hesitate. You cannot delay. You cannot overthink because the game moves faster than thought. And Portugal, even now, is still slightly caught between two versions of itself. One that remembers the past and one that is trying to become the future. The most dangerous team in football is not the weak one. It is the uncertain one. Portugal is not weak, not even close. They do not collapse often. They do not look fragile, but they look something worse. Delayed. One extra pass, one delayed decision, one moment of uncertainty in the final third. And that is enough because elite football does not forgive hesitation. It rewards speed of thought. The best teams in the world do not ask questions in the final third. They already know the answer before they arrive there. But Portugal still has moments where the question appears. And that is the problem. Because identity in football is not about formations. It is not about tactics. It is about instinct. What do you do when you are under pressure? Do you pass? Do you shoot? Do you take responsibility? Or do you wait? And Portugal right now sometimes waits. Not always, not consistently, but enough to matter. Enough to stop them from becoming truly dominant. Because while other top nations have clear identities, Portugal is still shaping theirs. Sometimes they try to control possession. Sometimes they counterattack. Sometimes they rely on individual brilliance. There is no single voice, no single rhythm. And in international football, lack of identity becomes hesitation, and hesitation becomes failure. Portugal is living inside a transition that never fully ended. One era is still emotionally alive, the Ronaldo era, a time where everything was centered around one man, one presence, one solution. And another era is trying to be born, younger, faster, more fluid, more collective. But these two eras overlap, and when eras overlap, identity becomes unclear. Not on paper, but on the pitch. You can see it in small moments. A player hesitates instead of shooting. A pass goes sideways instead of forward. A decision is delayed instead of immediate. And in elite football, those small moments decide everything. People blame tactics. People blame coaches. People blame systems. But the real issue is deeper. It is decision confidence under pressure. Because great teams do not think twice in the final third. They do not wait for permission. They do not search for clarity. They create it. Portugal still sometimes searches, still sometimes waits, still sometimes hesitates. And that is the invisible gap between being a strong team and being a dominant one. Portugal is not a failed project, not even close. They are a team standing at the edge of something much bigger, a generation full of talent trying to fully become itself. And if they ever solve this invisible problem, they will not just compete, they will dominate. Because talent was never the issue, only certainty was.